I tell them I'm a small businessman. I'm an SOB, a blue-collar son of a butcher who became an Ivy League graduate with my classmate, Barack Obama. I tell him I'm a homeschool dad who homeschooled his daughter to Harvard this year. In the entire United States of America, one homeschool girl got into Harvard. It's my daughter. I tell him that I'm a citizen politician and I'm an evangelist for capitalism and economic and personal freedom. And you know what? It works. That must be why I raised $18,000 in 3 days. That must be why in the last year I've gotten thousands of emails and every one of them says almost the same thing. Well, actually two versions. One, I'm a small businessman just like you, Mr. Root. I heard you on the radio. I heard you on Glenn Beck. I heard you on Neil Cavuto. And gosh, I didn't know I was a libertarian. I am. And I'm ready to vote for the first time in my life. If you run, I'm ready to vote for you. I've never voted for anyone in my life but a Republican. And the second version says almost the same thing, but without the small businessman. They say, I never knew I was a libertarian. I never heard of libertarian. I thought it meant liberal. And now that I heard you, I'm ready to go libertarian. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tea Party movement, as I said on the G. Gordon Liddy show today, national radio I was on today, 18 media appearances in 72 hours. Tomorrow, Fox News. Wednesday morning, Fox News. And Ernie's wrong about one thing. Fox News alone gets the most viewers of any cable channel in America, and just Fox News alone, not combined with CNN and MSNBC, gets 3 or 4 million on all their shows, which every show on Fox News is rated #1 in the United States on cable TV. But that doesn't matter. 2 weeks ago, I was on CNN with Larry King Live. How many libertarians do you know that get on CNN? I was on MSNBC. How many libertarians you know get on MSNBC? I've been on CNBC with Larry Kudlow 5 times in the last year. You know any other libertarian Larry Kudlow calls? In a non-election year, I'm not running for president. I'm not running for anything. I've gotten more media than any libertarian in history. What Ernie's right about is we've had lots of candidates who were failures at the top. And national is a complete embarrassment and failure and has been for 39 years that gives you no help. And worse than that, they actually make it worse for you. They actually make you suffer. They torture you. National is of no use. I'm going to change that, ladies and gentlemen. It's very simple. I am a New Yorker. And I am a bombastic, bold New Yorker with chutzpah. And you know what? That kind of reminds me of my hero, my idol, George Steinbrenner. I'm the world's biggest Yankee fan. I told my daughter when she leaves for Harvard, there are 2 things she better not do, or I'm not going to pay the bill. Number 1, don't come back a liberal. And number 2, don't come back a Red Sox fan. And George Steinbrenner took over. People know he took over the Yankees when they were a losing team, and he created an incredible juggernaut that won World Series. What they don't know is George Steinbrenner in 1988 took over the Winter Olympics because we didn't win any medals in Calgary. We were pathetic, and we've always been pathetic as a nation in Winter Olympics. We're not a cold weather nation. We do well in Summer Olympics, in track and field. So when our low point hit in Calgary, they named George Steinbrenner to head the Winter Olympics. And George Steinbrenner is the perfect CEO. He kicks ass like a New York CEO, and he will not accept failure from anyone, but he gives you the perfect ability to not fail, so you can never make an excuse again. He gives you everything you need, every tool, and he raises you money, and he trains you, and if he can't do it, he finds you the best. And 22 years later, we just won more medals than any country in the history of the Winter Olympics at the Olympics that just ended. It was all because of George Steinbrenner. Ladies and gentlemen, the key to life is to people believe. You gotta believe to win. I taught my daughter from the day she was born to believe she was going to Harvard or Stanford, and 1 month ago, she was accepted at both Harvard and Stanford, and Columbia, and Penn, and Brown, and Virginia, and Northwestern, and University of Chicago, and Cal Berkeley. Shall I go on? 13 for 13 of the 13 best schools in America took a homeschooled girl because I was the CEO who drew out the game plan and made her believe. Steinbrenner won us those medals because he made us believe. So as I close today, I want to tell you another story that reminds me of the Libertarian Party. We're not like George Steinbrenner. We're the quiet party who goes to defeat in a shy, quiet way. We don't want to brag about ourselves. We're like Canadians. Canadians aren't loud. They're not in your face. They're polite. So the Canadians did something smart because they've never won any medals in the Olympics. Even in the Winter Olympics, and the whole country's filled with snow. They hired a guy who would run the American Olympic program to come to Canada and teach them how to do it right. And that guy picked up George Steinbrenner's ideas, and he went to Canada and said, I want the whole nation to buy in on my mantra, and the mantra is, own the podium. The Vancouver Olympics are coming up, own the podium. You know what Canadians said? This is disgusting. We're like a bunch of New Yorkers. We're like a bunch of Americans. We don't brag. But little by little, over 4 years, he won them over until the whole country started believing and chanting, own the podium, own the podium. And guess what happened? Well, we won the most medals ever in the history of Winter Olympics. They won the most gold medals ever in the history of Winter Olympics. Not the most for Canada, the most for any country in history, even though in the past they'd won 0. It's all because the country bought in and owned the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be your chairman. That much I can tell you. And I'm telling you that we will own the election podium with me as your CEO. You will buy in on it, just like my daughter bought in on Harvard. We will win. We will raise money because I will give 180% as I've done as a candidate. I will travel the nation as I've done as a candidate. I will get more media than anyone you've ever seen in your life, like 18 appearances over 3 days here, and like Fox News and MSNBC and CNN and CNBC. I will help you and train you to learn how to get media like I do. I will train you how to call them. I'll train you what to say to them. I will train you how to act in the media, how to dress in the media. I will travel the country and teach you how to raise $18,000 like someone running for your national chair. You know, that's what I can do. Work and give 180% effort like nobody ever. Travel the country and teach you what I knew, what I know, and create people in the Libertarian Party who know how to raise money, the most important thing in the world in politics, no matter what Ernie says. All that matters in politics is, all that matters. Money is the mother's milk of politics, and we as libertarians never raise any money, and that's the problem. And so I'm also going to lead us with a contract with America, like the Republicans did in 1994 and swept them to victory. You know what my contract is? That I'm going to have every libertarian candidate in the nation sign, and then we're going to have a photo op with all the best candidates, and we're going to go out there in the media, and I'm going to sell it on Fox News and sell it on CNN. We're going to be the party where every candidate in the party agrees we're never taking a dime from corporations, from unions, or from lobbyists, only from the people. And that's going to be the shtick that sells. All you New Yorkers know the word shtick. You got to have shtick if you have any chance in life. One thing people are going to remember, it's shtick. And our shtick is we don't accept money from corporations. We're the only party. We don't accept it from lobbyists. We're the only party. We don't accept it from unions. We're the only party. You know why that's easy to make that pledge? Because we never get any checks from any of them anyway. And we never will, because I'm anti-union, I'm anti-big corporation, and I'm anti-lobbyist. They were never going to give me a check anyway. And we will use that mantra to get people to write checks like never before who think the same way as us, but we haven't given up a darn thing because we weren't getting checks from them anyway. We can turn around a negative and make it a positive. I was just reading in Sports Illustrated about one of the great stories of negatives to positives, lemons to lemonade. Notre Dame. Do you know Notre Dame, a little Catholic school, became the most famous football school in the world? It's an amazing story. In the early 1900s, nobody liked Catholics in America. So nobody would play Notre Dame. No one would take them in their conference. Nobody wanted to play them unless Notre Dame agreed to travel to them. So Notre Dame said, hey, let's just travel all over the United States and barnstorm the country and play whoever wants to play us. All takers. And they traveled the nation, and they became the most famous team in America, and they won the national championship, and they got all the money. They're one of the richest programs in the world, and suddenly it's pretty cool and hip to be a Notre Dame football player. It all changed because they turned negative into a positive. We don't get corporate money, so we're broke. We don't get lobbyist money. We don't get union money. We're broke. So we can't compete with Republicans and Democrats. Well, from now on, we're going to turn it into a positive, and we're going to sell the whole nation that we're the party that believes only in taking money and helping the people. That's what I believe in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not worry about the issues. I'm with you on every issue. But what's important is how you sell the issues. And the last thing I'll say is, the proof, Ronald Reagan. He sold the same exact philosophy as Barry Goldwater. Goldwater lost in a landslide. Reagan won in 2 landslides.